Ever since I first drove an FRS, I've been a big fan of Toyota's small little rear-wheel drive coupe. And with the second generation GR86, everything was just better. But Toyota thinks the brand can take things further, and this year has introduced the Hakone Special Edition. The Hakone is the latest in the GR Special Editions, which have ranged from being nothing more than some special paint to full-out performance specials. And this one resides more on the visual side of things, but it does include all of the possible performance options available on the car. The car gets its name from the famous or infamous, depending on your perspective, Hakone turnpike in Japan that's been used for decades by enthusiasts to test out their skills and their cars. The most obvious difference to this GR86 is the exterior paint that Toyota calls Ridge Green, and it's supposed to mimic or reflect the lush forest around the Hakone turnpike. The car also has exclusive matte bronze 18-inch wheels, which I absolutely love, and of course the usual badging to let everyone know that this is the Hakone edition in case they aren't familiar with the exclusive paint color. Although not exclusive to this model, but finishing off the overall look, of course, is that rear duct spoiler, which I kind of feel should come on just every GR86 standard. Inside, the Hakone has some more exclusive bits. Most noticeably, there's a bit of tan cross stitching. There's the tan inserts and pieces on the seats. The shifter has some bronze accents and a really cool, unique top to the knob, and other little changes here and there. Now, before I get to the performance, because that's what really makes this car special, I'll just finish up on the interior. So the GR86 has always been small, and that's no different with the newest model. It has a rear seat, but I mean, that's more for storage or very, very small children. Even infants aren't going to really fit there with their rear-facing car seats. It's sort of a very small window of child that sits on a booster seat or a car seat that doesn't need any legroom whatsoever. Between the driver and passenger sits the infotainment system that is 8 inches in diameter, which may seem small by today's standards, but fits perfectly well in the car. And looking at it, it looks dated and old as it is, but I absolutely love it for that fact because I have a volume knob, I have a tuning knob, I have 6 quick shortcut buttons that are physical buttons that I can feel where they are and know exactly which one I'm pushing without having to look. I really hope more and more manufacturers continue this trend of going back towards dials and buttons and get over this touchscreen obsession. The rest of the interior is more about function than style. I do like the comfort of these ultra suede leather seats. There's hard plastics on a lot of surfaces, but the armrests are padded and there's this nice suede bit on the top of the door frame. And even if the materials aren't the highest quality, it looks okay in here. It looks like a purpose-built sports vehicle, and to keep costs down, and that's sort of what the 86 has always been about, being a lot of fun for the money, you need to have these sort of materials, and I honestly couldn't care less about it. I kind of like this interior, and I'm not the smallest of people, and I fit in here no problem with lots of headroom to spare. That's been another sort of trademark of the 86 is designers wanted there to be enough space for a driver to have a helmet if they want to do lapping or autocross or drifting or whatever. Now for the fun stuff, how the 86 drives. That's always sort of been its forte. I mean, this is a performance little coupe sports car, whatever you want to call it. So for 2025, Toyota's engineers have updated it a bit. The suspension's been retuned to give better road feel. The steering's been recalibrated for quicker response, and even the throttle mapping of the engine has been adjusted and will blip better on down and up shifts. It does take a little while to get used to. I keep finding when I change gears, I want to give more acceleration to line up the next gear point than the car needs. It's not a perfect rev match system or really a rev match system at all, but it is trying to hang the RPMs better for gear changes. And it's caught me out a couple times, but maybe I'd get used to it if I own the car for a while. Part of it could be I've just driven so many different manual transmission cars over the last couple of decades that I'm just kind of used to the old school feel. I don't know. So what hasn't changed is the vehicle specs. So it still has a 2.4 liter naturally aspirated flat 4 engine that makes 228 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. Even in the Hakone, it can be had with a 6-speed automatic or a 6-speed manual transmission, well, at least in the US, both of which are pretty good units. I wouldn't say the 6-speed manual is the best transmission out there. I do prefer Mazda's MX-5, but it's still a good unit. And the fact I can change my own gears in a rear-wheel drive performance coupe is a rarity and welcome in this day, especially at the price point of the 86, which we'll get to in a little bit. Weighing in around 2,800 pounds, power delivery isn't exactly neck-breaking, but it's more than enough. It's one of those cars that is rewarding to really rip through the gears and rev out to redline, unlike modern EVs or even other sports cars that have so much power you can really exploit its full potential. And for anyone who hasn't driven a modern BRZ or GR86, the engine really starts to growl and howl once it passes 4,000 RPMs all the way up to its redline. When getting into the higher RPM, it really comes alive. Listen. Again, you might have heard there that the RPMs hung or actually increased as I was changing gears, and that's because I was giving it sort of my pre-programmed usual throttle that I feel the vehicle needs when changing gears, but this one doesn't require as much input, and it's something I probably would get used to in time, but it's still catching me out right now. So back to power, there's more than enough to get up and going around town, even to get up and going quick. Despite the power to weight ratio, this is a car with a reputation for being able to hang the tail out, and that's especially true in my version because it's still very slippery out as winter is just ending, and I'm riding on 215/40 R18 winter tires instead of the usual Michelin Pilot Sport 4 summer tires. And so I've saved the best for last, and that is the actual driving feel of the 86. It's what makes this car special and makes it such a great performance bargain. Few cars out there under $40,000 deliver the fun and feel of the 86. Just about anybody could get in this car and start driving it comfortably, and more experienced drivers can start to explore the limits of the 86 and still feel fully within control. Even if I enter a corner a little too quickly or the back end starts to slide out, it's so easy to catch the car, and that's part of the fun. This does have all the modern safety systems, including eyesight, which used to not be available on manual equipped cars from Toyota. But this car still allows a lot of driver engagement and driver input. And it is possible to completely turn off stability control, which again is a rarity these days. I know I already brought it up once, but it's a lot like the MX-5 in the sense, unless you've driven one, you just won't really get it. It's a great first new car for an enthusiast that's just sort of starting out in life. I know this car is inspired by and supposed to be a spiritual successor to Toyota's Corolla AE86, but to me it's always felt more like a modern take on the Nissan 240SX, combining practicality, sportiness, comfort, and an affordable price tag all in one package. But I'm not going to go on and on in depth about the way the car drives, because there are countless videos out there that have beaten that issue to death. I mean, even I have gone over this so many times. What I really want to know is the Hakone edition worth it? Well, one thing I haven't mentioned until now is that the Hakone also includes the upgraded performance package that consists of Brembo brakes and SAC dampers. Now, I can't really cover how the dampers change the car on this test drive due to weather, time of year, tire choice, but I will comment on the brakes. I mean, they're Brembos. Brembo knows what they're doing. There's a reason why pretty much every manufacturer has some sort of Brembo upgrade somewhere on their lineup. They're just such reassuring to stomp on in this car over and over again without much fade, and the pedal is so firm and the bite's instant. It really gives me more confidence when I'm driving. Now that we've gone through what the car's all about, let's get into the topic of pricing. Let's do a quick recap. So the Hakone gives you unique exterior paint and wheels, and inside there's tan inserts and stitching and that shift knob, and it also includes the performance package, which makes this the highest performing 86 currently on sale. So what does that all come to? Well, in the US, currently it's $36,405 with destination charges. That's about a $2,670 increase over the premium, the next highest model, and I'm comparing manual to manual. But that premium price doesn't include the performance upgrade, which in the States you can add to that trim. And once added, the difference between the two models is just over $1,000. And to me, that's worth it. That's a small increase for such an exclusive vehicle. And speaking of which, only 860 Hakones are coming to North America, 830 for the US in automatic or manual transmission, and only 30 for Canada, all in manual, as you can see by my plaque that's on the side of the dash by the driver. In Canada, it's much the same story. As tested, this is $40,570, including destination charges. Now again, compared to the premium, that's about a $3,000 increase, which may seem like quite a bit, but Canadians can't add the performance package to the premium. So this is the only way you can get it. And like I said, there's only going to be 30. So to me, that price is well worth it to get something that is the best performing 86, doesn't really set you back that much more money, and is really exclusive. You'll be one of 30 people in all of Canada driving this car. Even in these post-winter, messy, salty conditions on winter tires, the GR86 is still a ton of fun. But the question is, does the Hakone edition make it better? I really think that depends on the consumer. If you're someone who's looking for a fun rear-wheel drive sports coupe and the GR86 is one of your options, it might not be worth the extra money. But for fans of the GR86, this is the ultimate GR86 right now, and I think the small price increase is well worth the style and exclusivity of the Hakone.